Dalton's atomic theory. All matter is made of extremely small particles called atoms in constant motion. Atoms of a given element are identical in size, mass, and other properties. Atoms of different elements differ in size, mass, and other properties. Atoms cannot be subdivided, created, or destroyed. In chemical reaction, atoms are combined, separated, or arranged. Atoms of different elements combined in simple whole number ratios to form chemical reaction. John Dalton is an English physicist and chemist proposed the atomic hypothesis in 1808 as a scientific theory about the composition of matter. It claimed that tiny invisible particles called atoms make up all substances. According to Dalton's atomic theory, atoms which are inductible or invisible building blocks make up all substances. Unlike other elements which have atoms of different sizes and weights, and element atoms have all the same size and mass.
And now I'm going to discuss about how did Dalton discover atoms. In closed vessels above water, Dalton observed in 1803 that oxygen interacted with 1 or 2 volumes of nitric oxide. He was aware that only particular ratios of various elements could be combined to form chemical compounds because he was a chemist, physicist, and meteorologist. It meant that specific ratio of the minimal amounts of those elements were needed for the production of synthesis of those compounds. This object introduced him to several atom types.
History of atoms. Democritus was a Greek philosopher the who was the first person to use the term atom, atomos meaning invisible. He believed that if you divide a piece of matter continuously, you will eventually reach a point where you can no longer divide it. Democritus called to this fundamental unit is as an atom. Around 440 BC, Leucippus originated the atom concept. 5 major points in their atomic concept. All matter consists of atoms where a bit of matter too small to be seen. There is an empty space between atoms. Atoms are completely solid. Atoms have no internal structures. Each atom of a different substance is different in size, weight, and shape. The smallest part of an element is called an atom. Each atom of an element is different in structure from the other atoms of other elements. An atom can be divided in small subatomic particles, protons, electrons, and neutrons. The nucleus in the center of the atom, it contains protons and neutrons. Electrons orbit the nucleus as we go up the periodic table. An electron and proton is added. Electrons occupy a certain energy level of a certain size. Once the energy level is full, a new level begins with each of these levels are special types of orbit. This depends on the energy each level orbital can contain 2 electrons.
And now let's proceed to the basic law of matter, and that's our law of definite proportion, law of multiple proportion, and gas law and conservation mass. So what is law of definite proportion? The law of definite proportion, also known as the Proust law or the law of constants, compositions, holds that no matter the source or technique of manufacture, a given chemical compound always includes in the constituent elements in a fixed ratio by mass.
Law of multiple proportion. According to the law of multiple proportion, the ratio of the masses of the second element that combine with a fixed mass of the first element will always be ratio in tiny whole numbers. If 2 elements created more than one compound, Dalton's law in another name for this rule, given the honor the chemist John Dalton who first stated it.
Gas law and conservation mass. According to the law of conservation of mass, mass is neither generated nor destroyed during a chemical process. For instance, when coal is burned, the carbon atom in it transforms into the carbon dioxide. The carbon atom transforms from a solid to a gas, yes, its mass remains constant. Similarly, according to the rule of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed.